Morning, everybody. Eric Chaconis here for PT on Ice. Today we'll get into a couple midfoot techniques. So from kind of a simplistic standpoint, when somebody presents and you're noticing that that midfoot is kind of flat, they're not really supinating as much as you'd like them to. So in a lot of cases, these are medial structures that are irritated. Plantar fasciitis or some type of pathology to the plantar fascia would be a great example. Posterior tibialis tendinopathy would be a great example. Tibial nerve, all the joints along the medial side of the midfoot can certainly get injured and irritated. And so when you see that patient that comes in and you've got the flat feet, pes planus, a lot of times that's a structural thing that to them. And I think so. The first thing, number one thing, as a prerequisite to this whole thing is just, that can be very normal. And a lot of times we're not going to change that. And the approach isn't to change that necessarily. It's to give them a little bit more strength and control and movement awareness to be able to assume a little bit of supination through different weight-bearing activities. And so I don't want to use any nocebo or thought viruses, certainly nothing that's going to make them think that they're abnormal or that their feet are so flat and they're never going to get better, that they necessarily need like an orthotic or something like that. That might be helpful, but my point is the language is really important as always. So, all right, a couple manual techniques. So I view it as this, right? I would like, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit for you guys so you can see a little better. Okay. Think of it as the midfoot isn't really wanting, or they don't have the movement awareness necessarily maybe to move into supination. So I'm trying to basically facilitate that, right? Moving into supination. And so if I can kind of do some things to give more awareness and sort of give them more, in essence, mobility, getting that navicular to move in a dorsal direction, right, would be kind of one of those things. And I'm not approaching this with a very strong biomechanical model where I'm thinking that I'm moving the navicular in a dorsal direction and that's going to free it up to create more motion there. It's more like a neurophysiological movement awareness type thing. So anyway, both thumbs on the plantar side of the navicular. You can do these in supine, but in prone it's much better because I can kind of use my body weight and sort of use gravity to press that navicular in that dorsal direction while inverting the foot. So that's the thing, right? It's a coupled movement of inversion like that, plantar flexion, that calcaneus wants to invert, and that arch wants to become more concave. So both thumbs on the plantar aspect of that navicular, pressing it towards the ground as I passively pull the foot into inversion like that. So this is a nice, gentle technique, very easy for the operator because all you're really doing is grabbing the foot and pushing on that medial side. You want to move your thumbs down and hit the cuneiform, first cuneiform, second cuneiform on that medial side, even come down to that first metatarsal. Now you're into the forefoot, moving that in a dorsal direction like that. So that's kind of one nice one like that. Then I'll come to the other side, and people like this one. This is one of the ones we teach this in the extremity syndromes course, and it's a pretty popular one, and that's the cuboid whip. So slide up just a tad, Cindy, just tad. So what I want with the cuboid whip, and typically do this in standing, but I'm going to make it so that the shin is what hits the table. I don't want the foot to hit the table. So foot hanging off the table. Same type of a hand placement. I've got both thumbs on the plantar side of the cuboid. I've got my fingers then wrapped around on the other side, on the dorsal side, all right? Both fingers on the dorsal side. And so this is going to be kind of a whipping motion, and I'm going to press that cuboid in that dorsal direction, almost thinking of rotating it. If you think of the dorsum of the cuboid, rotating it externally to kind of create that midfoot supination movement. So I'll do that one kind of fast as a thrust technique usually, like that, right? So that's the cuboid whip. And then that's the medial navicular dorsal glide, or first cuneiform dorsal glide. Next thing we'll do is actually, if we can go in standing, Cindy, and I'll have you place one foot up on the table. I want to kind of facilitate that, right? And do like one foot on the ground, one foot on the table, so you're almost in a lunge, and face that wall. Thank you. Sorry, we didn't discuss any of this prior to this. It was all getting the kids ready for camp and all that stuff. So, all right, so this is going to be short foot. You are going to press your big toe down into the table. It's actually kind of nice on a spongy surface like this. So if you wanted to do this on the floor and you had like an Airex pad or something, that's a great thing because they can feel the movement. They can feel a little resistance through that great toe as opposed to doing it on a hard floor. So anyway, you're going to press that big toe down into the table, but I don't want you to curl your toes. So just press, press, press through the big toe, big toe. That's going to engage FHL, but it also gets all these medial intrinsics. So the visual is a short foot, right? The visual is going to be, I want you to increase the concavity of your arch. I might not usually use that type of language, but I want you to make your arch higher, bring it up towards the ceiling by making your foot shorter by contracting that muscle. You can tap that medial side there, right? Contract, contract, contract. So a nice tactile cue. Excellent. And relax. And contract. And relax. I might couple that, it's going to be easier actually, with a little bit of external rotation of the tibia. So you're going to roll your knee outward while you contract that muscle. I'm just giving her different movement strategies to kind of create a little bit more of an arch there on that medial side. So go ahead and fire and roll that knee outward. Good. Now let's do it in weight bearing. So now we'll go to your feet on the ground. Good. All right, so now we're going to stand in weight bearing position. Do the same thing. Contract. Good. Now I want you to flex this knee a little bit. Roll that hip into the outward position. Excellent. Hold, hold, hold. So that's an isometric contraction, really getting solid engagement on that medial side. And then the real progression is we're going to couple it with some squatting and deadlifting type movements. So now let's do this. Let's do bilateral first. So stand with feet shoulder width apart, side by side. Fire, contract, strong midfoot, strong medial side there. Now I want you to just do squat. A little deeper. All right, now come up. I want you to, on the eccentric portion, relax your foot. Come on down. Hold that squat right there. Now contract short foot. Contract short foot, control, control, and then come on up. Good. So at the bottom, and I don't know that the order matters necessarily, but at the bottom of that squat, I want her to fire that short foot, get the engagement, and then come up and explode concentrically. So it's kind of a ground up type movement. So go ahead and come on down. Contract, fire, and up. Explode. Excellent. Good job. Down. Fire, and up. Excellent. One leg. Here, I'll take one of your hands. Single leg stance. Down.
Squat or?
Yeah, squat. Fire, and up. Excellent. And then deadlift. So let's just do a single leg deadlift. So just hip hinge. So same thing. Come down, relax. Hinge at the hip, soft knee, little bend in the knee. Fire short foot. Control, control, and then come on up. Good. One more time. Hip hinge, come on down. Fire, contract, and come on up. It's really nice. She's really developing a lot of kind of medial stability there. And that's sort of the key. You could couple that with hundreds of different exercises. I mean, any weight-bearing exercise you want to integrate would work great. So, all right, hope that helps. You want to catch extremity syndromes? We are in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I believe Minneapolis. I could be wrong. Somewhere in the state of Minnesota towards the end of September. Thanks, Jose, for coming in today. Thanks, Hunter. I appreciate you guys watching. See you next time. Take care.